I think quite possibly the best reaction to the debate last night came from CNN, from Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Jake Tapper said it was a hot mess in a dumpster fire, and Dana Bash said it was an S show. Okay, I'm avoiding the swear, but you get the point. She said this on cable TV. They don't really swear, but she did. She went for it. You know what? They're both kind of right, but where they're wrong, Jake Tapper said, and it's mostly Donald Trump's fault. That's not true. I mean, I guess you can kind of say that, but Trump is doing what Trump always does. Look, they were going into a WWE style wrestling match. They knew this. They had years to prepare. And what did Joe Biden do? He played the exact same game Trump does. So when people watch this and they're like, Joe Biden's like, man, will you shut up? And everyone's like, oh, snap, Joe Biden smackdown. It's like, okay, I get it. You're not really debating. You're trying to score points. It was more like, I wouldn't call it a debate. I'd say that Joe Biden got served. That's what it was, right? It's like Donald Trump and Joe Biden may have well just been breakdancing so we could have gotten over with and then started arguing about why our guy won. Both sides are claiming it was really bad for the other guy. But for the most part, I'll tell you this. I think Trump won the debate. Now, the betting odds are against Trump. They're saying that Trump, well, I don't know if they're saying Trump lost, but they're saying Biden is more likely to win the general now following that debate performance. I think Trump won the debate. I think Trump dominated the debate. And I think Trump's character defects are hurting him really, really bad. And I know there's a lot of Trump supporters who say things like, why should I care if Trump's got character defects or if he's rude, if he's getting the job done? And that is correct. If you really thought about it, you probably wouldn't care. But come on, we know why Obama got elected. Obama did not get elected because he was, bringing up these really great policies. Obama was like, well, look, my thing has always been conflict, crisis, foreign policy. So I look at Barack Obama and Biden in terms of bombing civilians, drone strikes, spying, arresting people. But I mean, what can we really talk about the Obama administration and praise? Obamacare? I mean, a lot of people complain about that. So I look, Barack Obama got elected on his charisma, his charm, his celebrity status. You might not like it, but that probably was the biggest factor in his election. Now, in 2016, Donald Trump was a bull crashing the doors of the ivory tower, looking Hillary Clinton in the eye and saying, you are the establishment, and I am going to come and rain on your parade. People loved it. Like Michael Moore said, it was the biggest FU in human history. That's why a lot of people said Donald Trump. Well, we're past that now. Joe Biden still kind of represents the previous administration. Maybe many people won't want to let him in, but are they going to get that same reaction of Donald Trump going wrong to the establishment? I don't necessarily think so. And I think Trump, Frank Luntz tweeted about it. Here's what he said. Trump is in total control of the debate stage, but he's too rude to win over many new votes. I would like to use this debate to teach my students how to communicate, but I can't. It would be unfair to my students. Frank has a really great thread about undecided voters. He's a pollster. I'm not saying his word is absolute or anything like that, but I'll tell you, man, how I felt watching that debate. If I was going to give if I was going to assign, points from 1 to 100, I would say Donald Trump 57, Joe Biden 43. Oh, I know there's probably a lot of people saying, what are you nuts? Donald Trump Donald Trump dominated. He did. He totally did. There's a few areas where he made mistakes. I want to highlight these things. And there's a few areas where he was vulnerable and the media is going after him with absurd and ridiculous lies. Joe Biden had some good attacks on Trump, but I think for the most part, Trump held his own, pushed back on Biden. And there's several key areas. One, mail-in voting. When Donald Trump was going off on mail-in voting, he was saying it's fraud like you've never believed. You got what happened in Manhattan. You've got what happened in New Jersey. Bad things happening in Pennsylvania. You've got people, getting the wrong ballots. He went off for like 2 or 3 minutes just ranting about, and Joe Biden just sat there doing nothing. And then Joe Biden goes, there's no evidence. That's it. That's all he could say. He couldn't say anything. And then, of course, we get the media class. Look, the media very obviously is in the bag for Joe Biden. It's kind of hilarious to see journalists coming out and saying, don't interview Proud Boys. Why? Oh, it's because Proud Boys aren't white supremacists. But this is another area for Trump that he had a real opportunity to dominate and actually win. Look, Donald Trump needed to say only one thing. During the debate, one of the areas in which I think Trump still comes out ahead, but where he could have done better, is when he was when he was asked to denounce white supremacists and right-wing militias. The first thing Trump said is, sure, that was it. And now a lot of people are saying he didn't condemn white supremacy. He's refusing to do so. He could have made a bolder statement than that. Instead, he tried to push back on Antifa. Now, here's the reality. What do you think Americans care about right now? Do you think Americans are sitting in their homes going, oh, the white supremacists? No, that's the paranoid, delusional far left that think white supremacists are lurking around every corner. Regular Americans are hearing about riots from Antifa. Joe Biden would not condemn Antifa. And this was a huge net gain for Donald Trump. We've watched the riots. We've seen the Black Lives Matter extremists. Joe Biden refused to condemn it. In fact, Joe Biden denied it even existed, saying that it's just an idea. Terrible mistake. Absolutely. Let's go through some of the things. I want to go through some of the things I've pulled up and explain what's going on. So, Maajid Nawaz, he's the guy who coined the phrase regressive left, intellectual dark web type. He's a great dude. He says, Biden was weak on that Proud Boys versus Antifa exchange. Why? Trump's base doesn't care if he refused to condemn Proud Boys. But Biden's base see violent Antifa black bloc rioting in the streets. Now we see Biden refuse to condemn by name or even acknowledge they exist. It's what I have literally been saying for months. Biden need only say no. Now here's what's going on. They're saying, don't interview the Proud Boys. Why? Because they'd find out the Proud Boys aren't white supremacists. Oh no, their leader actually isn't a white dude. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, I think he's Afro-Cuban. I'm not entirely sure, Enrique. I'm not entirely sure what your ethnic background is, but he's not white. He's not a white guy. He's certainly not a white supremacist. And the Proud Boys aren't white supremacists. You want to call them names and criticize them? You can do so, but please get close to what they are. You know what I mean? Like if you want to call them right-wing provocateurs and violent, we can have an argument about it. And I'll say, well, look, there's been violence from the Proud Boys. Typically, Antifa starts the fight with them. If you leave them alone, they walk around, waving little American flags, and that's the end of it. But there are criticisms of the Proud Boys for sure. They recently went to Portland. I said it was a bad idea. It turned out to be okay, so fine. But there's things you can criticize them for if you want to. If you interview them, it will actually debunk the narrative coming out that Trump refused to condemn white supremacists. But let's read a little bit more about what Maajid Nawaz says. He says, so Biden, and mind you, Maajid Nawaz is a radio host in London, I think for LBC, it was at London Broadcasting Company. He's a liberal dude, liberal guy. Here's what you got to understand. Here's what he said. So Biden inadvertently revealed Trump's allegation is correct. Democrats are covering for Antifa. No one sane believes it's just an idea. And Antifa does not sit comfortably with the base Biden needs to win over. Even me. I imagine Nawaz isn't. I don't believe he's in the U.S. I think he's in London, so he's not going to be voting, but it's true. Perhaps the real reason why, quote, this won't end well. And despite everything we see with our own eyes in Portland, etc., still you repeat this myth that Antifa is just an idea. Seriously, you think us stupid? We know what we see, a loosely affiliated violent network of black shirts. And their presence disturbs middle America. And now Donald Trump is going to litter the internet and TV with advertisements showing Antifa, showing them waving their flags, and Joe Biden saying, nah, that's just an idea. And then I didn't catch this part, but I saw someone post that Donald Trump responded, getting hit in the head with a baseball bat is not an idea. I didn't hear him say that. Someone said he did. So maybe he didn't, maybe he did. I don't know. But that's what Trump's going to put that in ads all over the place. Here's what check this out. On my Twitter, what's happening? President Trump says Proud Boys should stand back and stand by when asked to condemn white supremacists at the presidential debate. It's really interesting how they conflate the two, because he was asked to condemn white supremacists and right-wing militias that were that were starting violence, I suppose, of which it's extremely rare anything like that happens. It doesn't. And then Trump said, sure. Trump said who, and Biden said Proud Boys, and then Trump said stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by. Now they're conflating that with white supremacy. I'm sorry, that's not the case. Right below it, however, politics trending, Antifa. Trump does not condemn white supremacy when asked about the topic during the first presidential debate. You see how they do that? Stand back and stand are trending. They could have, in the Antifa section on Twitter, said Joe Biden refuses to condemn Antifa. This is how the game is played. And do you think regular Americans sitting back and watching their cities burn are going to be like, well, that's normal, I must be crazy? No, they're going to be like, some dude showed up to my neighborhood and threatened to burn my house down. We just had a guy in Louisville. They demanded he yell Black Lives Matter. He wouldn't do it. I got some more for you. Andy No tweeted, Rose City Antifa is a group. Antifa 7 Hills is a group. Antifa Sacramento is a group. Atlanta Anti-Fascists is a group. Youth Liberation Front is a group. There are many, many Antifa groups, and they are violent. Manchin responded, we all see this with our own eyes, and we are asking why Biden refuses to. And then he responded with, Biden was weak, and of course his position. 100 days of riots, says Chris Wallace. About time. Chris Wallace said, there have been 100 days of riots. That's what he said. Riots, not protests. The American people know this. Now you've got Trump's base. They're all high-fiving. Woo, Trump won, yeah. They're highlighting some points where he could have done better. You got the anti-Trump base going, oh, Biden crushed it, woo. And then in reality, it's like, look, I don't know why the betting odds are flipping in Biden's favor, but I'd say money talks and BS walks. That and keeping that in mind. I believe Hillary Clinton was favored in the betting odds. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what it really means. But I'll tell you what I've been told by my friends and my family and, people I know and trust. The riots flipped them. They were Democrat. They hated Trump. Many of them were abstaining because they hate Biden. And then when the riots happened and they would not stop, and the Democratic mayors and governors would not take Trump's offer for help, they said, enough. Trump needs to come in and clean this up. Maybe the Insurrection Act, I don't know. But I want to show you this. Adam Serwer says, just like after Charlottesville, the white nationalists are taking Trump's remarks as an endorsement of their behavior. Shut up. No, they aren't. Okay, the white nationalists are not. Richard Spencer endorsed Joe Biden, calling him clearly more competent. And they'll try and claim that when the Klan or these white supremacists or white nationalists endorse Democrats, it's just a trick because we know they actually like Trump better. Why? Trump's banning critical race theory. He's banning things that many white nationalists have praised. Yeah, don't believe me? Think about it for 2 seconds. Critical race theory, which Donald Trump answered very poorly when he was asked about it, says that whiteness is bad. They believe that working hard and saving for the future is a white characteristic. That's why white nationalists, and I'm not going to pretend like I know what they all think, but many of them have said this is great. They love it. It's probably why someone like Richard Spencer would endorse Joe Biden. The dude isn't lying to you. This is the crazy thing. They want to act like when Richard Spencer supports Joe Biden, it must be a secret trick because he's just trying to smear Joe Biden. It's like, the dude is publicly comfortable with telling you he's a white nationalist. He's not lying to you. He's giving his opinions in real time. Take his word for it. If you don't like his opinions, that's fine. But stop pretending like it's all a ruse or a trick. As far as I can tell, the dude's being completely honest with what he thinks. And I do not like his political views, and a lot of people don't. But his views align with leftist identitarianism. Not completely, but for the most part, they're theories on race. Take a look at what we get from when you search this. On Google search, the New York Times, Trump refuses to condemn white supremacists. The New York Times again, Trump refuses to denounce white supremacy. Blah, blah. Proud Boys, Trump refuses to condemn. Chris Wallace, are you willing? Blah, blah, blah. And there you go, over and over and over again. Trump won't do it. Trump won't, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to introduce you to Enrique Tarrio and Joe Biggs. Look at this. Look at this guy right here with skull and, what is that, a skull and crossbones? Look at his face. I can tell by him shaking the hand of a guy who is not white. He clearly is a white supremacist. And I can tell I can tell the Proud Boys certainly must be white supremacists because their leader is not white. What is this? A Dave Chappelle sketch? You can criticize the Proud Boys for being Western chauvinist. You can say they're provocateurs. You can say that they march around because they're looking for a fight. You can criticize them in all these ways. We'll have an argument about it, okay? Because it's not clear cut. Now, I don't think the Proud Boys start fights for the most part. There have been some instances, but it's usually only when Antifa shows up to their events. And that's the thing. Proud Boys will be like, we're going to go do our thing. Now, are there Proud Boys who do this knowing? Oh, yeah. because they used to actually have something, I think it was called the fourth degree, like you get a degree or whatever in the Proud Boys, and it was getting into a fight in defense of Western values. And so they was quite literally saying, like, if you get into a fight with, Antifa or whatever, then you get upgraded or something like that. So there really was a component of the Proud Boys that involved violence. You can criticize them for it, 100%. We can talk about it. But what you're not going to convince me of is that a bunch of dudes are secret white supremacists taking their cues from a guy who's clearly not white. But that's there you go. Let's talk about the transcript. Emily Jashinsky tweeted, "The debate was garbage, but this is the actual transcript of the white supremacy exchange. Trump didn't refuse to denounce white supremacy as much as the media is now saying. Look at his first reply. Take issue with how he handled it, but don't misinform. Wallace said, 'Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups?' Sure." Trump said, "Sure." And to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities we saw in Kenosha, as we've seen in Portland. Sure, I'm prepared to do it. But I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not the right wing. I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace. Then do it, sir. Do it. Say it, says Biden. What do you want to call them? Give me a name. White supremacists and right-wing militias. Biden yells Proud Boys. Trump says Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what, someone's got to do something about Antifa and the left. Trump fell into the same trap Biden did on Antifa. The only problem, there's no Proud Boys marching around in my neighborhood. In fact, if the Proud Boys came to my neighborhood, I'd be like, oh, look, Proud Boys. I have zero concern, and most Americans probably have zero concern that Proud Boys are going to be marching around, smashing windows, starting fires, and attacking people. But Antifa's, the videos are everywhere. I get people calling me saying, like, what's happening with these riots? They're scared. I get people who tell me from Chicago, they've been Democrats their whole lives, and then the black bloc Antifa and the rioters went into their neighborhood and they were freaking out. And the left likes to say, Tim's making this up. No one really said that. Oh, please, man. Nah. You want to play games and pretend like America isn't freaked out by 100 plus days of rioting? Chris Wallace said it in the debate. 100 days of rioting. And a bunch of leftists got triggered. They're like, they're not riots. I was in Portland. They're not riots. Oh, okay. All the fires you're starting, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. I don't care what you think. Joe Biden needed to call it out. He did not do it. Now, Donald Trump made a big mistake. Joe Biden says to Trump, all these dog whistles and racism don't work. I don't know, whatever. Donald Trump was asked about critical race theory, okay? And instead of Chris Wallace really just mangled this. It was awful. He said, you banned racial sensitivity training. And Trump walked right into this. Trump was ill-prepared. And I got really disappointed. This is the arrogance in me, but I'm really confident I would have absolutely obliterated Joe Biden in that debate, 100%. Critical race theory, because all those questions Chris Wallace had to ask, I can give you an answer right off the top of my head, okay? And look, I'll tell you what, I don't debate, okay? I don't. I have discussions, but I can give you answers. I rant all day for a living with no script. No, Chris Wallace. Donald Trump did not ban racial sensitivity training. Donald Trump banned critical race theory. That's the theory that believes hard work is an element of white people. Do you believe that, Chris Wallace? I don't think so. Now, do you think the government should be paying people to teach people that? I didn't think so either. Therefore, we said no to this. Trump didn't have a good answer. He pattered. He was like, it was really bad. It was really racist. And they were teaching people that America was bad. Trump should have been better prepared. If Trump made the move to ban critical race theory, which I think was a fantastic move, he should have been better prepared for what it entails. And the simple thing is, critical race theory says working hard and preparing for the future is a trait of white people. I am not exaggerating or making that up. That's literally a component. Ibram X. Kendi dragging Amy Coney Barrett just the other day because she was trying to civilize, these poor kids she adopted because they weren't white. That's what they think. They think hard work. It's exactly what white supremacists think. Trump could have been better, absolutely better prepared for this. Frank Luntz made a good point. Or I shouldn't say he made a good point, but he said, my undecided group just finds this debate funny. I've honestly not laughed this hard in months. They don't mean it in a good way. This ugliness isn't working for either of the candidates. I mean, I disagree. They may not mean it in a good way, but people don't remember what you say, but they do remember how you made them feel. And I was laughing last night. It was exactly what I hoped for. It could have been better, but Trump was funny. When Trump started going wrong, I just lost it. I love it. Wrong. Trump dominates the stage. He took over in every way. Now, is that going to make undecided voters want to vote for him? Probably not. And that's bad news for Trump. But to say that Joe Biden won the debate is wrong. Joe Biden was shaken. He was like, Trump owned it. Like Frank Luntz had already said. So here's another tweet. It says, this debate has actually convinced some undecided voters not to vote at all. I've never seen a debate cause this reaction. I'm not surprised, man. We'll see how things play out. I got to tell you, though, I'm not convinced Trump's going to win off this debate performance, but we still got several more debates, and I'm not entirely convinced Trump is going to win, straight up. Now, I don't know for sure. It's all speculative. But I wonder if Biden's weakness really will translate. Because, Frank is mentioning that some undecided voters won't vote at all. But I wonder how many undecided voters are looking at Biden and Trump and going, I'll take the guy who's a jerk, man, I guess. So that's what I tweeted last night. I said, which one are you picking? Senile crackpot crony or a-hole loudmouth TV star? And of course, I guess for the people who follow me, 110,000 votes and 92% said, a-hole loudmouth. Listen, it could just be because of the followers I have, which is probably the case, but 100,000 votes, a lot of retweets. It's probably all the Trump supporters who are active. That could be that they're more enthusiastic. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win, but enthusiasm does matter in terms of turnout. So we will see. People aren't enthusiastic about voting for Biden, but they are enthusiastic about voting against Donald Trump. But I'll tell you what I think. I'm disappointed in a lot of Trump's answers, but I'll tell you what, man. Joe Biden is a senile crackpot crony. And I'm not saying that literally. I'm saying in the perception of him. I'm not trying to do an armchair diagnosis. I'm saying he represents the establishment. He's clearly not capable for the job. He's weak. He's a coward. I'll take the a-hole dude. I'll take the guy who's yelling on stage, because at least when he goes to negotiate and debate with other countries and corporations, he's going to do the same thing. I'll take what I can get. But let me tell you where Donald Trump actually absolutely did win. First, Joe Biden made a mistake. Frank Luntz said Biden should not have told Trump to shut up. Trump has rattled him, and it's not a good look for Biden. Here's Vulture. Will You Shut Up, Man is the song of the summer. Why would I want to vote for someone who's like Donald Trump, but worse? Okay, Donald Trump's character problems are a detriment to him in many ways. I don't like it when Donald Trump says stupid things and yells at people and insults them. I don't. That's just me. Sometimes it's funny, but sometimes I'm like, just come on, man. Right? Like Joe Biden, come on, man. But then Joe Biden goes up there and does the exact same thing. Joe, you're not as good at you're not good at this. You're like trying to be like Trump, but you're bad at it. Okay, fine. I'll take the guy who's at least good at it. He should not have told Trump to shut up. Trump was dominating the debate stage, and Biden had an opportunity to play to decorum. He didn't want to do it. Joe Biden thought he was going to beat Trump at his own game. Are you daft, dude? You can't beat Trump at this. But listen, here's where he really won. From Reason, Robbie Suave writes, Donald Trump says Joe Biden is the candidate of perpetual lockdowns. Though the presidential debate was pure chaos, Trump destroyed Biden on the question of reopening the economy. Hands down, no question asked. That is a fact. Joe Biden had no answer, no response. And Trump said, when they tried going after Trump on COVID deaths, Trump was like, and what about the VA, the 380,000? And it was like, whoa. Trump had a fast answer. He knew they were going to bring it up. And he said, if you were in charge, you opposed what we were doing, it'd be millions. What's your response, Joe Biden? Lockdowns, more lockdowns. Trump said, we can't do that. People are suffering. And people want to know what they're going to do with their jobs. That was an absolute win for Trump. Now, as to whether this actually translates to victory, I'm not convinced. But I'll tell you what, if you think it will, then go out and place your bets. I mean that figuratively. There are betting odds. To what capacity it's legal, go to these sites and do whatever you want to do. But right now, they're all saying Joe Biden's favored. You know what that means? So following this debate, we saw what looks like a plus 16 from 9.5 to plus 16. Okay. That means you have an opportunity to make a lot of money if you think Trump's going to lose. If you think Trump's going to win. If they're all saying in the betting odds that Biden's on track to win and the betting odds favor Joe Biden, vote for Trump, bet on Trump. I remember a lot of people back in 2016 said the odds were so bad for Trump that they put down like $100, won $1,000. They were like, I don't know, whatever. The idea was, we don't know. It's not a roll of the dice like a roulette, not roulette, like craps, or a spin of the wheel like roulette. It's politics and gambling. Everybody thinks they know. You're speculating on who's going to win. People basically said, I'm fine with losing the 100. I'd be stoked if I won 1,000. And if they're saying Trump wins a quarter of the time, those odds are actually really great. But no one at the betting, thought Trump was going to win. So I'll tell you what, I can't predict the future. The betting odds, man, money talks, man. I think Frank Luntz is probably right when he says undecided voters are probably not going to vote for Trump. But I'd be willing to bet that Trump made some slight gains because Joe Biden wouldn't condemn Antifa, and that's big. It's not the biggest thing in the world, though, healthcare and jobs. And that's why Joe Biden immediately kept trying to change the conversation to healthcare because he knows it's his only opportunity. Sorry, you're not good enough on that. I heard Trump's response. We lowered drug costs. We got rid of the individual mandate. And I was like, okay. And when they say they're going to get rid of Obamacare, you want to know what I think? As a middle of the road, independent left-leaning person, I was trying to go to the doctor earlier this year and I couldn't because of Obamacare. And I was confused. I was like, I don't understand. I have insurance. I bought it in that marketplace thing. And they're like, nope, sorry. And so you know what I ended up doing? I ended up having to pay out of pocket. So it meant nothing to me. And so when Trump says, yeah, it's going to be overturned, or Chris Wallace like, you want to overturn the ACA? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. The cost's going down. Well, Trump said he lowered drug prices. Okay, Joe Biden, what have you got? Well, healthcare. No, shut up. I'm done. We'll see how things play out. That's just my opinion. I know everyone's going to claim their guy won. I think Trump made a ton of mistakes, and I think he narrowly squeaked by. That's my opinion. But that doesn't mean I'm saying he's won over more of the voters. Biden may actually walk away with more votes because the media. I guess we'll just see how things play out. Stick around. Next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.